Hello everybody, it is I, TDA Fan 2024, and welcome to another ranking video. So, yesterday, as a matter of fact, Wednesday, March 13th, I finished Total Drama World Tour, and in this video, I will be ranking the characters as well as giving you my personal thoughts on the season as a whole. So here are all the characters that had a role in the season. A few are absent, like Trent, Justin, Katie, Sadie, Eva, and Beth, because one, they weren't in the season, and two, they didn't really have much to do in the aftermath as well. So yeah, with that said, let's just get on with the ranking first and foremost. We're going to start with Chris. This season is probably where we see Chris at his worst. At his worst when it comes to the first three seasons, and when it comes to the old gen, the first generation. So, he's still fun and entertaining, but like when it comes to how he treats the others, I'm gonna put him in the great ones. He's not the best of the best. Honestly, I don't think Chris will ever be as good as he was back in Ireland, but he definitely wasn't the worst in this season. We'll see how bad he is in the future seasons, but for now, he's going to be placed in the great ones for my personal opinion. Next is Chef. Unlike last season where Chef kind of had like his own character arc going on, this season Chef wasn't as present. Like he didn't really have much to do in this season compared to the first two seasons. So this would probably be Chef's weaker season for the first generation. So I'm going to put him in mediocre because honestly, Chef didn't really do anything this season, which was kind of sad since like he had a much bigger role in season 2 and a bigger role in season 1 than in this season. So yeah, that was not good. Next, we have Jeff. Now, Jeff, as a host for the Aftermath, he was pretty good, especially like when he did the whole number of the song he made, like he sang for Blanley. Her real name isn't Blanley. That's probably the best that we've ever seen Jeff in World Tour. So I'm gonna put Jeff in the good ones. Like he at least wasn't like unlikable compared to season 2. When season 2 they just made him like a new Chris, which was not good for Jeff's character. But yeah, honestly, bring Jeff back to his party boy personality because that was what really got us to like Jeff in the first place. I know we see that again in Redonkul's Race, but for this, like for Jeff being like kind of like Chris, it's not really a good fit for him. But I would have to admit, in season 3, he was kind of enjoyable as well, like Chris, and that's why I placed him in the good ones. Now, for the contestants in this season, we're going to go based on elimination order. So first was Ezekiel. First boot again. Man, this boy cannot catch a break. And then he slowly got derailed into a whole freak show, which was also sad. Like, Ezekiel has one of the most depressing stories out of any total drama character, and that's just very sad for Ezekiel. Hashtag justice for Ezekiel. But I'm going to put him in the weak ones because, like, if we're just talking about Zeke solely when he was actually normal, yeah, we didn't really get to see much of him. Like, of course, he was the first boot, so yeah, not much at all. But yeah, Ezekiel, I'm just going to place him in the weak ones because, yeah, this season just wasn't it, and it's just very sad to see what happens to him as the season goes on. But yeah, next would be Harold. Harold, this was definitely his worst season, second boot, so of course... but of course he's still likable, like especially in the Aftermath episodes. Harold had a much bigger role compared to everybody else in the Aftermath episodes, which is pretty cool. But still, like as of when he was a contestant, he wasn't great. So I'm gonna place him in the mediocre because this season was Harold just pretty mediocre, which is pretty sad because this is the last time we see Harold in the Total Drama series. Next is Bridget. So yeah, Bridget, she didn't really have much to do when she was a contestant other than being fooled by Alejandro. But then when she was an Aftermath host again, she still didn't really have much to do compared to Jeff. So I'm going to also place Bridget in the mediocre ones, just like Harold, because they both didn't really have much to do in World Tour. So that's sad as well. Next is Lashana. Now, Lashana, she had her moments in World Tour, like especially when she beat the crap out of Heather, which most people who don't like Heather would love Lashana for doing that. But still, she also got out early, and she also got fooled by Alejandro. So I'm going to place her in good, because at least she kind of had more to do compared to, like, Bridget and Harold. Like, she had her whole moments with Heather, and yeah, honestly, Lashana is still entertaining, and she was honestly mega robbed as well. And that's why I'm placing her in the good tier. Next is Lindsay. Lindsay, of course, she wasn't as good as she was in action this season, which is upsetting, but she was still entertaining, fun, and gullible. But yeah, this season was just not her season, honestly. I'm going to place her in the mediocre tier as well, like Bridget and Harold and Chef. Now, Izzy. This season, I still liked her quite a bit. I feel like this is probably her best season, in my honest opinion, because Izzy was, like, less annoying to me anyway. And honestly, what happened to her, like how she got out, was also pretty sad. But yeah, honestly, Izzy was good this season. I'm going to place her in the good tier. Now, DJ, my boy DJ, mega robbed. Probably the second most robbed elimination, in my opinion, would be first, but we're about to get to the first. Yeah, DJ. I mean, he did have this whole animal herding arc, which honestly is not good in my opinion. And I know most DJ fans would probably agree. But hey, at least he was the last one left standing in Team Victory. At least that was pretty cool, but still. My boy DJ, he was also done dirty this season. Not as dirty as back in action, but in this season, at least we were able to see more of DJ. I'm going to place him in. Where am I going to place him? Bridget, get back there. Honestly, yeah, I'm going to place him in the good ones because I wouldn't really call him great. This season was also not his best season, and that whole animal thing kind of got annoying. So I'm just going to place DJ in good. This wasn't it, DJ. This wasn't it. But you're still my top character, so yeah. Now, Noah. Noah definitely had the most robbed elimination. And if you've seen the episode I See London, you know. Because the challenge was to find the Jack the Ripper, right? And we're back. Sorry. Something came up. Anyways, back to Noah. So, yeah, the challenge was to catch Jack the Ripper and bring him back. And that's what Noah and Owen did. So, technically, they won. But just because Gwen and Courtney brought back Duncan, who for some reason Chris was like hunting, like searching for Duncan this entire time. And because they brought back Duncan, that's what gave the Team Amazon the win, which honestly is BS in my opinion. And I'm not the only one. I've been reading comments. A lot of people thought that Noah's elimination was total BS because technically his team won and yet they lost. And of course, because of what Noah said about Alejandro in the episode, and there were cameras, and Alejandro saw what Noah said about him, so that's pretty much why he got the boot, which was sad because honestly, Noah, he was probably my personal favorite character in this season. He was just really good this season. They really did Noah great this season. So, like I said, he's my personal favorite, so he's going to go up there in the best of the best. But still, he was mega robbed, honestly. And at least he got a bit of justice in Redonkul's race, but yeah, honestly, Noah was robbed for sure. Next is Tyler, another contestant who honestly got robbed. Noah and Tyler were really great this season. I'm glad that they decided to bring them back as well as Cody for this season, but we'll get to Cody in a second. Yeah, Tyler, he was great. He was funny. He was, the same Tyler that we saw back in Ireland, the same Tyler that we know and love. And I'm glad he was able to make it pretty far this season. Top 10, that's no easy feat. So good for you, Tyler. I'm going to put you in the best of the best as well. You and Noah were so good this season. All right, next is Gwen. Gwen. How far you have fallen. Yeah, this season was not it for you, Gwen, especially with that whole love triangle between you, Courtney, and Duncan. That was honestly the worst part of this entire season. So, yeah, Gwen, you will be going in the mediocre tier because I still like you as a character, but this season kind of made you unlikable, and that was just not good. Yeah, this season just was not it. And honestly, you should just go back to Trent. Anyways, and like, come on, when I was watching this season, there's a lot of scenes of like Gwen and Trent right next to each other. They weren't talking, of course, but they were next to each other a lot, and I mean a lot, especially in the finale. So like, come on, it's like if the writers really want these two to stay together, but blame Cartoon Network for splitting them apart. Now, Owen, you were all right this season. Like, not as bad as you were in action. This season was an improvement for you, but I will have to admit you probably overstayed your welcome a bit in this season as well, which is another problem that I have. Owen, he overstays his welcome a lot, and I know he's the creator's pet and all, but like, come on, he should have gone out when Noah got out or whatever, because he did not really deserve to make it to the top 8, but that's just me. I know some people probably disagree, And I'm going to keep Owen in the good ones. I wouldn't call him great because, like I said, he overstayed his welcome in my opinion. But yeah, he was great. He was good. Not great, but good this season. Now Blanley. So I was watching like some Total Drama hot take videos lately, and I realized that Blanley actually has a fan base. There's actually people who say she was like one of the best characters in World Tour, which I of course disagree. But yeah, I know there's people that like her, but for me, it was a waste, honestly, bringing her back. Like, she debuted, and then the episode after, she gets out. So, honestly, it was a waste to bring Blanley back. But, yeah, it is what it is. And I just don't even like her at all, so I'm going to put her in the worst, honestly. She's probably the worst character in the season, in my opinion. Now, Courtney, who also got out with Blanley. Courtney was also bad this season. Not as bad in action. She was more tolerable this season. But overall, she's still a bad character. And I'm just going to put her in the weak ones as well with Ezekiel. Because, yeah, Courtney, she was pretty annoying. And especially when the whole Gwenkin thing happened, it just got worse. And anyways, Duncan is next. Duncan, as much as I like you, you definitely should not have come back in World Tour. I know Duncan's like another creator's pet. Like, he's probably the second favorite character of the creator. I have no idea. But I heard that Duncan's also a creator's pet. So, yeah, that probably explains why he came back. And honestly, Duncan should have gone out way before. Even though if he did, it would be a waste of his character to come back in the first place. But still, Duncan, as much as I like you, I said this season wasn't your greatest season, and this season made you quite unlikable, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna put Duncan in. Well, he was still kind of good, I guess. So I'm just gonna put him in the good tier, but they did make him quite unlikable this season, not gonna lie. Now, top 4, Sierra. I still don't like Sierra, but after rewatching this season, I have to admit, Sierra did a lot in this season. Like, she carried Cody. If it wasn't for Sierra, Cody would not have been able to make it to the top 3. So Sierra did a lot, and as much as how annoying she is, I will not put her in the weak ones because she was far from being weak. She was one of the strongest and formidable players in this entire season, even though I don't like her as a character. But I have to admit, I have to give her credit where credit is due. So I'll just put her in the mediocre tier. But yeah, she still did great this season, honestly. But I still don't like her, so that's why I'm putting her in the mediocre. Now, Cody, the Codemeister. I'm glad they brought him back, but I mean, I think we all can agree that he was carried throughout this entire season. There were many points where he didn't sing, and one main key it was that you're supposed to sing in every episode. If you didn't, then you'd be cut from the show. And there was a lot of episodes where Cody didn't sing at all. He was just standing there. Like in the Boyfriend Kisser song, he was just standing there. That's it. And in Gwen's Face, or Why Did We Build Gwen's Face? Yeah, he was just standing there. He didn't even say, not even a single word came out of his mouth. And yet, he made it to the final 3. But I have to admit, the later episodes, like top 5, I mean, not top 5, top 4. Once we're in the top 4, yeah, that later in the game, that was when we actually got to see Cody, like, actually do things. But then you could also say, on the episode where Harold gets out, Cody did, like, help his team win by making that cringe commercial. So, he did that. But that was, like, the only thing he did that was early in the game. Everything else that he actually did was later in the game, like, way late in the game, which is honestly kind of questionable as to why he made it that far. But he did do some stuff in the top 4. And once we got to the top 4, that was when I started to see, yeah, Cody definitely did deserve to make it that far. Well, kind of, because 1, he got literally carried, and 2, he only did stuff until Sierra got out, pretty much. So, yeah. But still, Cody is a likable character, so I'm going to put him in the good ones. As a matter of fact, I might even put him in... Nah, I think the great ones might be a stretch. Let's keep Cody in the good ones because, like I said, he literally got carried to the final 3. Now, the top 2, Alejandro and Heather. This is probably one of the best 2 finalists in all of Total Drama. This definitely beats Action's 2 finalists, that's for sure, because both Alejandro and Heather were the best players in this entire season. Not my personal favorites. As you can see, Noah is my personal favorite player, but Heather and Alejandro, they both did a lot for their teams, and they both did a lot strategically to make it far. Alejandro was playing with the girls, and Heather was just doing Heather things. But there's only one girl that Alejandro couldn't play with, and that was Heather, because Alejandro actually cared for Heather, and not Harold, and Heather can see right through him. So the dynamic between these two was so great because like Heather was the villain, but then when Alejandro showed up, she kind of became the anti-hero, and that was pretty cool. And her win was definitely deserved. Even though Heather's like not even in my top 10 when it comes to total drama characters, I will admit she definitely deserved to win this season. And as much as I like Alejandro as a character, Heather's win was more deserved. Alejandro's elimination was not elimination, but his win was kind of BS. Because like they had two alternate wins, and Alejandro's win is like not even canon, in my eyes anyway. But yeah, Heather's win is the true and deserving win. So they're both easily going to go up in the best tier because they both literally carried the season. Well, Noah as well and Tyler, but these two for sure. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put Alejandro in 2, and then Heather will stay at 4 and Tyler at 3 because, yeah. But that's my tier list. These are how I'd rank the characters based on their performance in this season. Now, with that said, let's get on to my thoughts, my review on Total Drama World Tour. As a kid, Total Drama World Tour was my favorite season. And after rewatching it, it still is my favorite season. Sure, it's got a lot of flaws, like the whole Gwenkin thing and the love triangle and how they handled some characters like Bridget and Harold and Courtney and especially Ezekiel and Gwen and Duncan and others. But still, this season was very enjoyable. Like every episode was like my eyes were completely focused on the screen after watching each and every episode. Although I will admit the later half of the season, like once Noah and Tyler got out, that was when the season started to get less interesting. But the finale, like the final 3 episodes, were honestly some of the best, especially the final 2 episodes when it was just the final 3. Those episodes were like some very entertaining episodes, and the finale was probably the best finale. I can't decide either this finale or the finale in Total Drama Island, but both of them are top tier finales in my honest opinion because they were so enjoyable and it was so refreshing and yeah, it was just so refreshing to see the outcome, like Heather winning over Alejandro, and for Owen and Gwen, it could be either way. But yeah, this season was just a blast, even with its issues. And even the Aftermath episodes were actually entertaining compared to the Aftermath episodes in Action, where people thought that they were just boring and a waste of time. In this season, they actually made the Aftermath episodes worth watching, which is great. And honestly, this season was just so good. And also, they gave development to some characters who definitely deserved it, like Cody and Tyler and Noah. Those 3 are for sure. They probably have the best development here. Even Heather. Like, Heather was unlikable, but this season, like, you were actually starting to root for her, especially in the finale. So they did Heather justice as well. They did a lot of characters here justice and a lot of characters here dirty. So yes, I can see why a lot of people wouldn't consider Total Drama World Tour to be their favorite because of how they handled a lot of the characters and their personalities and whatnot. But me personally, even with all of the L's and all of the falls that this season has, it's still a very enjoyable season, and I would definitely see myself rewatching this season, or at least the clips, a lot from time to time. And yeah, this season is just so fun. And if I had to rank it out of 10, I'm going to give it a 10. Even with how they handled the characters, this season is very enjoyable. And that's what really makes the season worthwhile for me. So, Total Drama World Tour, 10 out of 10. And compared to the 3 seasons that I've watched so far, yeah, it's definitely my top choice. If I had to rank the 3 with the first generation, third place would be Total Drama Action, second place would be Total Drama Island, and first will be Total Drama World Tour because this season was just such a blast. And also the music, adding the music as well, like making this like a musical season was honestly a really great idea. Even though some songs don't really fall good, they fall flat, but it was just honestly really nice and exciting to see some of these characters sing, and it was another entertaining part of the show. And that was just great. This was honestly like the last really good season because after this, the show kind of falls flat or it starts to like turn for the worst because we all know what happens after this season. But still, this season is just great. This cast is great. Sierra and Alejandro were great additions. Not really Sierra, but Alejandro, honestly, a perfect addition. You'll see where he's at when I rank all the Total Drama characters after this Total Drama binge. But yeah, this season is just honestly really great. It's not perfect. Honestly, Total Drama Island is probably the only perfect season, but Total Drama World Tour, it's not perfect, but it's very enjoyable, and that's why it gets extra points. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Total Drama World Tour as a whole, as well as the character rankings. And that's it for this video. If you watch Total Drama World Tour, what are your thoughts on the season? Who are your favorite characters? Who are your least favorite? And yeah, with that said, that's it for this video. Today, I already watched the first 2 episodes of Revenge of the Island, and I'll probably finish it next week. So stay tuned for my Revenge of the Island review, which will be coming out soon. And yeah, this is TDI Fan 2024 signing off. Peace, and thanks for watching.